Yes, and also I think this is what many shamanic teachers all over the world tell us in Europe, like go find your own roots, make yourself indigenous to the land that you belong to, find your own rituals again. And also I think if we go to Latvia, we can get inspired, but also we cannot just take their rituals and do them here, because then that's cultural appropriation, and it doesn't really make sense if we now here would do their chantings and don't understand what they're singing. But I think with their connection to nature and the similarities, there's a lot of inspiration there that we can get inspired and then find our own way.
Welcome, travelers of the soul, to this new episode, Baltic Healing, exploring a living European healing tradition. So journey with me and documentary filmmaker Andrea Lötscher into the Eastern European countries where healing and spirituality are deeply intertwined with everyday living culture. Andrea is a social anthropologist and a filmmaker. She was born in Basel, Switzerland in 1974 and spent her childhood in Switzerland and in Canada, and has lived in Germany since 1989. She's married and has a son. After graduating from high school, Andrea traveled through Latin America and then studied social anthropology at the University of Münster. During this documentary film project, American Daydream, she met inspiring artists and taught herself how to edit short films. This led to her first job as an assistant director and editor in a Cologne film production company. After the birth of her son, Andrea founded Mondrosen Dokumentarfilme, which is like Moon Rose. I love the name. Since 2007, she has worked as a freelance filmmaker in the field of documentary film, image film, and documentation. And she has produced over 140 short films and 2 long documentaries. So please welcome everybody with me, my guest Andrea today. I am so happy that you agreed to this interview, because every time I see you posting about this amazing project, it really makes me so curious. So welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we are happy to have you. And, I want to start by asking, what was the initial intention behind this great film project?
It was really interesting because it started with a film that I made about being born and dying, because I was so interested in what happens in between, like what's going on there. So I interviewed a midwife, and it's called in German Sterbeamme. So it's kind of a death doula.
A death doula, yes.
Right.
Yes. Wow.
And through that, I got in contact with another death doula, and she is from Latvia. So we started talking, and then she told me about her grandmother, and her grandmother was a healer in Latvia. And she told me that she had this little book and she had written down all her knowledge. And I was like, I want to read that book. And then she told me, well, during the Soviet Union time, this was all completely forbidden. It was really dangerous to work as a healer. So she burned everything. And then I was very disappointed. And then she told me, but now it's coming up again. People are practicing in the open again. And then I was like, okay, we have to go there and do this film. So this is how Vaika and I started to work together.
Wow.
And she found these amazing healers and put together this tour where we could film and helped with all the interviews, all the translations, so we could do this film.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So take us on this mesmerizing journey with you. So you went to Latvia. What were some of the unforgettable moments while you were filming?
It was really kind of magic how everything came together. And we first wanted to film somewhere else, and then that didn't work out. So Christine Siele, who was actually preparing her big annual summer solstice festival for 200 people. She just said, oh, okay, just come to our place. You could stay with us.
That's spirit guiding.
Perfect. It was so perfect. And I never, ever in my life was at a place where a woman was organizing such a big festival, and she was so relaxed. She was so friendly. She was with open arms, and she just took time to show us around, to go swimming with us. And and we just helped. And that's how we could get into the flow. It was really wonderful to film there.
That. And what a great opening, like being able to participate at such a ceremonial festival.
Yes. And it's a big part of the film to just kind of be there in the festival of the summer solstice.
So is the tradition of celebrating the Wheel of the Year High Holy Days, is that still very much alive there?
Yes. I think summer solstice festivals, it's kind of like Christmas in our culture over here. Everything is closed for 3 days. People go to the countryside and celebrate. It's very serious and it's very fun. I mean, it's a serious celebration because everybody is taking part, but it's fun. I mean, people are outside, they're eating together, they're drinking, they're dancing, they're singing. And everybody does the crowns, like
the flower crowns.
The women with the flowers and the men with the oak leaves. And you have to see it in the film. You really get a good impression of how they celebrate this.
Amazing. So would you say that, spirituality is something that is very interwoven into the day-to-day living there?
I don't know how it is for the people who live in the cities. Like Riga is a big, big city. But I think everybody has connections to the countryside. And it's very interesting because Christianity came so late into the Baltic countries. And this old nature-based spirituality kind of survived. I think underneath, people were still they went to their holy trees and they went swimming in the rivers, and they were connected to their ancestors still through nature. And I think this has never completely left or hasn't completely disappeared.
Yeah, which is a beautiful thing to have that connection. Whenever I go to certain places and I feel and I kind of ask this question, for some people it's even what do you mean? Because they're so connected, they don't even think about it as being super spiritual. Whereas I feel often when we come more from that Western standpoint, we're seekers in a way. And then there is, these cultures that are deeply, deeply rooted in this, as you said, nature-based or connection with the earth. And for them, it's not even a question whether fairies or unicorns exist.
Yeah, it's interesting because this was the big discussion Baiba had when she started talking to people in Latvia about doing this film. They were like, why do this film? Everybody knows. And then she's like, no, not everybody knows.
I love that. So
and I think now they realize that it's actually good to tell other people about it. But before they were just like, well, everybody knows.
Yeah, why bother? Of course. So what were things that, surprised you most about the Baltic way of living?
Well, what I really like is that people are connected to the cycles of the year and nature, and this whole sauna, these pirts rituals in the saunas. It's almost shamanic. I think it reconnects to this old shamanic tradition of the women in the saunas working with people with, they put these flowers on the benches. So you actually lay down on these flowers that have healing
property
potential. And And then they do the massage, and then they do these old songs, and they call the spirits of the ancestors and of also of amanita. Some of them work with amanita. And I think there's a very deep ancient healing knowledge there that goes back to very old times, I would say.
Yeah.
And that really fascinates me.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, if you are enjoying the show, then you would do me the biggest favor in clicking the subscribe button and engaging with my content so I can continue to deliver these beautiful conversations to you. Thank you so much. Wow. It's interesting. I can imagine because like you go with a mission, like you go to work there, but then somehow it feels that you are being soaked into it yourself. So how was the transformation that you underwent personally while being on this project?
I think it was also very healing for me. And also, we were there for only 10 days, which isn't that long. But then I was editing this film for 3 months. And this is always a very interesting process because I listen to it again and then again and again and again. And then I really immerse myself in it. And at some point, I have this feeling that I really know these people. Yeah. And then I went back this summer and it really felt that way. But then I only know a little bit of them for sure. But yeah,
but it is an intense period. And, I guess it's also conversations that are going a lot deeper than with like regular conversations that we have.
Yes. And it really, I think it really changed. As a social anthropologist, I always had this view, if people tell me that they're connected to the spirit world and everything, I respect that. And I believe it's true. But I just realized with this, when we were there last summer, we went there again and we brought back the film so they could see it there. That was very special. And then we also had a sauna ritual. And I realized I kind of, for myself, still had it on this metaphorical level that is the truth. But then I realized, no, this isn't metaphorical. It's actually the truth. This is how the world is. And that was very transformative for myself to really, really experience this.
Thank you for saying that, because I feel there is such a big difference. And that is also, for me, like for my own journey, but also as what I want to bring forward in the world. It's really about this embodiment and like, how can we hold the truth that somehow is outside of us, like pull it into ourselves and make it become a living, embodied truth.
Right. I think that's very important. And I think these women healers in Latvia, they do that. And also because they really work with the bodies of the people. It's this old, I would say it's this old spirituality that is really embodied. It's not something out there.
Yes.
It's about your own experience and really what you can connect to inside of yourself and connect to your own wisdom and your own knowledge. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So
tell us about some of the rituals you got to experience.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, the pirts ritual, which can be like a 2-3 hours ritual.
That's the sauna, right? So
it's in the sauna, and it's with you lay on the flowers, you get massage. They have the Swiss. Here you see some of this back here.
Yeah.
And then you get like some kind of beatings, but it's gentle. It's not like and then you go in the cold water. That's always, and then you lay down outside, and then you do it again, and they sing. So this is the whole pirts culture. And people in Latvia go to the saunas traditionally every week. But then for the special occasions, for healing, for initiation, they do the pirts rituals. So that's one thing.
Okay.
And then also Ilga Gavare started to work with Amanita muscaria, fly agaric, because it was part of their culture. And also Ligita, one of the other healers, works with Amanita. So I think that's also interesting because many people now go to the wisdom of these master plants like ayahuasca and so on, but it's not in our tradition. So they will have a different experience, I think. And this is, I do believe that Amanita has been a very important master plant in Europe. So this was very interesting. And they work with small doses. It's not like they give you the shamanic dose where you go flying, I don't know where. And I think the microdosing is a very, very healing method.
So what is it traditionally used for?
I think people used it to get in touch with their inner light, with themselves. I think it was traditionally used especially during the long winters. In the winter, it was connected to a ritual during the winter solstice, where you would go inside in the quiet and then find the light in the darkness. And I don't know if this was for everybody or if this was more like the shamans who did this. I think that in the traditional healing, the bigger doses were done by the shamans who then helped the people. And the shamans were women originally, I do believe. And then they gave to their patients, they gave small doses, like tiny doses of tea, for example. And through that, you very gently, you can work through old traumas, health issues. And I think there's a lot of there's a big potential in there.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you picked up again, because like before the interview, we were also speaking about coming back to like our inherent traditions. And for the two of us, that would be like going back to our European roots, whereas for, like Americans, it would be like what is there on the native land and with the indigenous people to discover. But I think there is a potency and power in reconnecting with these roots where we come from versus like looking to traditions or even plants, as you said, that are outside our culture, which is for sure, it's not, I don't want to consider it wrong, but and there is definitely also a calling, but I feel that there is a potency to really connect with what is growing in the soil where you live on or where you come from.
Yes, and also I think this is what many shamanic teachers all over the world tell us in Europe, like, go find your own roots, make yourself indigenous to the land that you belong to, find your own rituals again. And also, I think if we go to Latvia, we can get inspired, but also we cannot just take their rituals and do them here, because then that's cultural appropriation. And it doesn't really make sense if we now here would do their chantings and don't understand what they're singing. But I think with their connection to nature and the similarities, there's a lot of inspiration there that we can get inspired and then find our own way.
And
absolutely. Amanita grows here. It grows on our land. Like literally, I saw one yesterday. It's just right next to our house.
Yeah. Well, you go for it.
Well, that one I will just leave there and be happy that it's there.
So you mentioned several times that, the healers and the shamans were women. What did you find about this matriarchal society?
Well, I'm studying matriarchal societies right now with Heide Göttner Abendrot
Oh.
and Hagia. It's really, really interesting. I'm so thrilled because when I studied social anthropology, we actually studied matriarchal society, but it was through these male patriarchal lens. And so social anthropologists who went there, they didn't really see what they actually were studying. So this is very, very exciting to me. And when we were in Latvia, I do feel that, there's this theory that Maria Gimbutas brought up, that there was this old Europe where there was a matriarchal society that was egalitarian, peaceful, and you can show it through archaeology and also through the new, how do you say that? Gen, like the gen?
Say the German word and then I can jump in.
Like Genanalysen, you can actually show now that
the analysis of your genes and like DNA, and I don't know what the right term for it is, but I know what you mean. So you can like have a whole analysis of where your genes are coming from or going back to. Yeah.
Right. And you can do that with the stuff you find in the archaeologic sites. So that's fascinating. And then also in Latvia, like they have 3 gods. They have like a god. And then they still have Mara and Laima. And Mara is, I would say, Mother Earth. And Laima is faith.
Oh, I love that.
So you still have these 3, you still have this trinity, and it's still 2 of them is still this going back to these very old roots. And they have these old songs, and there's so much wisdom in the Dinas. And it survived. And that's fascinating. And I think that goes back to these old roots of wisdom, like the connection to nature, the wheel of the year, that you have these shamanic approaches to healing, and then also the symbols they have, like the grass snake is very important, and you have this all over Europe, or like toads. They used to have toads in their homes and grass snakes that they would feed, and the grass snake was for wisdom, and the toads were it's kind of like a manifestation of Mother Earth, like it's in many places. So you find all these little bits and pieces, and I would actually really like to study this more and find more of the connections. I just don't know Latvian yet.
Well, now you do have the connections.
Learn the language.
Yeah,
and it's not really written. It's still an oral tradition, except for the Dinas who have been written down. The Dinas are those sacred texts that are also songs.
Okay. I was just thinking, and that also makes total sense to me, because there was a time where probably all of this knowledge would have been highly dangerous. And so how do you think that it survived during the time of the Soviet Union?
Well, they say that you would go to an ant in the countryside, and then everybody knew what this was about.
The famous auntie. That's the code word. Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened then?
I don't know exactly, but I'm sure that they were still practicing. They were doing the pirts. They were doing the healing. And the sauna rituals were passed down through the generations, through the families. Now that the Baltic countries are independent, there are sauna schools now where you can actually learn the rituals and everything. Wow. But before, it was just passed on, as it is traditionally everywhere. You just pass it on to the next generation.
Well, I'm happy that they did, because, I feel that at some point it was pretty dangerous to be a keeper of such sacred wisdom.
Yes.
Wow.
You could have, many people were deported to Siberia or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then also, I think that's also a sign of these, to me at least, to these old peaceful way. Because, do you know about the singing revolution?
No.
It totally fascinates me because, when there was this opening in 89, the people started to sing their songs again. They were forbidden to do that, and they started to sing their traditional songs again. And then in August, I think it was in August, I don't know the exact date, there was this one day where they somehow managed to organize 500 kilometers of people holding hands throughout the Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. And they would hold hands and be there in silence, and then they would sing. And this was the beginning of their independence. It just gives me goosebumps.
I'm getting
when I think of
goosebumps.
it.
Yes. Yes.
So this was their singing revolution.
Wow.
And there was this opening because it's the same year when in Germany, East Germany, the wall fell.
Yeah.
So it was possible, but the people, they took their chance.
Of course. Yeah.
So I think it's very cool that it was.
And what a beautiful picture, which couldn't be more appropriate at this time too, right? So I guess we need more of that in the world as a singing revolution. That's beautiful. Thank you.
It's very beautiful. I don't know if it's still possible today. It's always, there's these moments in history where something like this is possible, and then it's not. But they had the right moment.
Yeah, true. When the stars align. Well, we have to make it possible.
Would be good.
Wow, amazing. And so, then you traveled back, you said, to hand over the film, like literally, and to show them what you made. How was that? I imagine it's like a big celebration, and also for the people to see what you made out of it.
For me, this was very special because when I thought, like, when I filmed, I was given so much and I wanted to give something back. So we traveled back, my husband and I traveled back there last year. No, this year. It's still this year. And then they had a big festival in August in Everty at Christine's place. And it was very special because we showed the film open air. So we were actually sitting in the middle of the site.
Oh, wow.
Where we filmed, watching the film. And it was very special.
Beautiful.
And I think people really appreciated this. And Christina said that, I mean, she had seen the film before, but she said that she was very touched because she thinks her place is so beautiful. And I was able to show this in the film. And I had the same eye for the beauty there that she has. That's what kind of touched her.
That's amazing.
It was very sweet to be there.
Wow, how emotional, I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
And what would you say, now that, you've done the filming, you've done the editing, and you've had all these beautiful connections with the people, how did it support you in finding your own connection to your roots?
Yeah, I'm still exploring, but I really feel like I'm rooted differently now. And also, I feel that there's something beautiful unfolding right now with the connections to these healers. Like, we invited Ilga to our place to do rituals here, and then and Ilga and Christine, they came together and they're like, oh, we could actually invite people. Like, we could invite women to come to Latvia and do a retreat there. And I think there's this back and forth now that is just starting. And it might be something beautiful that is unfolding there.
I can see, grandmother spider like weaving her web. Yes.
Kind of like that. And
I love
that's kind of my vision, that we have all these different places, and then we kind of weave these energy spider webs again. So everything is connected again. So this would be one thread, or maybe more than one. We'll see.
Yeah. So what is your vision for people who are watching the film? What would you like to be sparked within the hearts and minds of people?
I would really be happy if people find their connection with nature again, with Mother Nature, and with their own intuition and their own inner knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very simple. Very simple.
Well,
and also very profound.
And I was just going to say, and I guess coming back to the westernized lifestyle, I feel that it's exactly the simplicity that we need, because we have forgotten that life can actually be so simple. And it's it's the slowness and the simpleness where there is the connection.
Right.
I
think it actually is very... Christina says that in the film, life is really simple, and I mean it. And she does. That's how she lives, and it's so profound on the other side. Yeah. And then, you know what I would also like to mention is I did this film with Kambra Skade. She's a great artist here in Germany, and she does these art and rituals, and I think it's so inspiring because she says it's really sad that we lost the traditions, but then on the other hand, we now can do whatever we want. So, well, like, nobody tells us how we have to sing or how we have to do our altars or our dances. So we can just give the space to our own artistic expression. Yeah. And I really love that.
Yeah, totally. And I guess this is also something that with an art, should come back, like this expression, instead of like holding back and feeling I cannot sing, I cannot draw, I cannot paint, like all of these things. So really just have that playfulness to express yourself.
Mm-hmm. And to me, it makes me so happy doing these things. It's like when I was a child, I would just like play, and this is kind of like this energy. And then you don't think like, oh, is this like good or something? You just do it, and it's fun.
You just follow the joy.
Yeah, just the joy of doing something.
I love it. So tell us about where to find the film. And also, you made it in German, right? But I'm guessing that there is like English subtitles or something. So where can people find it?
Yeah, the film isn't really in German. It's in Latvian.
Obviously. I'm sorry.
But some people speak German and some people also speak English. So I actually made 3 subtitle versions. There's a Latvian version because I thought it was important for Latvians to also be able to understand the whole thing. And then there's a version with English subtitles and a version with German subtitles. And you can stream or download the film on Vimeo on demand. Mm-hmm. And maybe we can put the link in there.
Oh, we will. Absolutely. Yes.
And also I have made DVDs because some people don't want to stream. So here are DVDs. They can get the DVD through people can send me an email and I can send them a DVD if they prefer that. And the film with Kambra Skade is on my website. And I just put it on there. We thought this is a gift and people can watch it for free.
Oh, that is your newest project, right?
Right. That's the one with the art. It's called Kunst und Heilen. And that one is only
like
German.
Art and Healing.
Mm-hmm. That is only in German. I didn't have the time to make English subtitles yet.
It doesn't matter, and maybe you will. And, sometimes I also feel that language is one thing, but the energy and what really needs to come over also transmit, especially because it is an art project, right? So art is a language on its own. So,
right.
Yes.
I think you can still get some inspiration from just watching.
Yeah, amazing. And that would be on your website.
Right. That's on mondrosen.com.
Okay. I love it. And, before we close, I have to ask you, because I find the name is so beautiful, because it's also like this feminine flow of the moon and the rose together. So how did you come up with this name?
It just came to me when I started my freelance business 17 years ago. The name just came to me, and I thought, like, oh yeah, that's nice. And then later I realized people have no idea what I'm doing. So I added the Dokumentarfilm. They were like, what are you doing? So it might not have been the smartest name, but I really like it.
To the contrary, I feel that it is invoking, especially like we talked about all of these matriarchal structures and like coming back to, and this is nothing to do, I just want to mention it because we, of course, also have male listeners. There's nothing to do with like feminism, but it's like this rootedness in and the veneration to the mother that was basically like cut out of religion and in histories vastly. And so it's really this coming back into also the weaving and the connection. And so I feel no matter whether it's art or filming or something else, but it's, the healing that is taking place in these spaces. So I find the name utterly fitting and beautiful. So keep it.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would want to share with the audience?
Just go out to nature and enjoy.
Yeah. And watch the film.
Yeah, that's also a good idea. It might give you more inspiration.
Amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. I told you I haven't watched it yet, but I definitely will. And so we are going to be putting all the links in the show notes, also your social profiles like YouTube, Instagram, and everything where to find you. And maybe there is also people out there who feel super inspired to start a collaboration or to start, wanting to connect with the women healers in Latvia. So please get in touch with Andrea. Thank you for coming. That's been so inspiring. And I feel like I want to go out, although it's the typical winter, like grayishness outside. But I feel like I want to go out and just ground a little bit and feel the moist air on my face. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this was inspiring for you, and we'll see you next time.